Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna dive into a topic that's pretty wild actually. Canada's black market for LMIAs.
Yeah, labor market impact assessments.
LMIAs, right. It sounds kind of like, I don't know, like a spy movie or something, but it's a lot more serious than that.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, we're talking about exploitation on a pretty huge scale. Big time.
Okay, so maybe just for, for anyone who's not totally familiar with this, could you break down like what an LMIA even is? Why is it so valuable?
Yeah, so, okay. An LMIA is basically like, it's a document, right? A Canadian employer needs to get this if they want to hire someone from outside Canada.
Okay.
For a job that they just can't fill with a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident.
Right. Makes sense.
So it kind of proves that, like, they've tried everything they can to find someone here in Canada and it's just not working.
It's like they've looked everywhere and they need to bring someone in from outside.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so for a foreign worker, this is kind of a golden ticket then.
You got it. Yeah. They let them work in Canada, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It gives them like I don't know what to call it. A huge advantage if they want to apply to stay here permanently.
For permanent residency, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where this black market, that's where all this comes in, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the demand for LMIAs is like exploded in the last few years.
It's crazy.
Part of it is because, Canada's made some changes to immigration and it's gotten tougher for people to come here. And well, some cities, they've got restrictions on LMIAs too.
Really?
Yeah. Especially in industries where there aren't really clear worker shortages.
So it's like they're trying to protect Canadian jobs, basically.
Right, exactly. But, well, it is good intentions, but sometimes they have unintended consequences.
And that's this black market you're saying?
You're right, you got it.
People who are desperate to come to Canada, they're willing to pay big money for a chance, right? And then you've got these shady folks, cashing in on that desperation.
It's kind of a perfect storm, if you think about it. More and more people want LMIAs, but there are fewer available.
Yeah.
And then you've got this system that, well, it's meant to be fair, but it kind of creates loopholes,
It's like ripe for exploitation. And we've got some reports here that show just how crazy the demand is. Online ads for LMIA jobs, they more than tripled just between July and September of this year.
Wow.
I know. It went from just 29 ads to 97.
That's wild.
It really is. And I mean, you have to figure, for every ad, there are probably a ton of people out there searching for these jobs, desperately searching.
You're not wrong. It's it's a scary thought.
People hoping for a better life, and they're so vulnerable.
Exactly. And, we're seeing reports of people paying $20,000, some even $40,000, just for a shot at an LMIA job.
It's insane. And it's, it's illegal for employers to charge for that.
Yeah. Not supposed to happen.
And it's often temporary residents who are targeted, people who are already here but don't have all the same rights as citizens.
Yeah.
They've built lives here, they have families, and the thought of having to leave everything behind, it's terrifying.
It's a lot, for sure. So they take risks, even if it means, getting involved with the wrong people.
Okay, so let's break this down a bit. How does this black market even work? What are the tactics? What are these shady operators doing?
Well, sometimes it's just straight up fraud. Employers will create fake job offers.
The job doesn't even exist.
Nope. It's all just to get the LMIA so they can, turn around and sell it.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. But it gets worse. Sometimes they'll actually bring workers in and then exploit them, pay them way less than minimum wage, make them work in terrible conditions.
And these workers are too scared to say anything because they're afraid of being deported.
Right. It's like they're trapped.
And then you've got these so-called immigration experts.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on those guys.
They make everything even more complicated.
Right. They're like the middlemen, connecting workers and employers. But they charge these insane fees. And a lot of them, I don't even think they know what they're doing.
It's shady all around.
It really is.
One example that always gets to me is the live-in caregiver program. It's supposed to help families find caregivers, right?
Yeah.
But it's being used to bring people in for jobs that don't even exist.
Yeah, it's awful. They twisted this program that's meant to be helpful, into something that hurts people. Exploits them.
It's just wrong. And all of this, it's not just affecting the workers, right? This black market, it impacts everyone.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely. Canadian workers, for one. They're losing out on jobs.
Because employers would rather hire someone through this black market, someone they can pay less.
Exactly. It's not fair to anyone. And then there's the government. They're losing out on a ton of tax revenue.
Because it's all happening under the table.
Yep. Less money for healthcare, for education, for everything.
And then there's the bigger picture, right? Like trust in the whole immigration system.
Oh, yeah. When people see this happening, it's like, why even bother doing things the right way?
It makes the whole system seem rigged.
Exactly. Canadians start to feel resentful, and people who are trying to immigrate legally, they feel like the system is against them.
It's a mess.
It is. It really is.
So what's being done about all this? Like, is anyone trying to stop it?
Well, yeah. Employment and Social Development Canada, ESDC, they're the ones who handle LMIAs.
Right.
They're starting to do some things. They say they're going to look at job offers more carefully, investigate more, and they're working with other government agencies too, trying to crack down on this whole thing.
Sounds like a good start, but is it enough? Are they really serious about tackling this?
That's the big question. Some people, well, they aren't so sure.
Okay, yeah.
They say, ESDC needs to be more upfront about what they're doing.
More transparent.
Yeah. And that they need more resources, to really make a difference. This isn't like a small-time operation. These are organized people making a lot of money by exploiting others.
So it's wait and see, basically. But in the meantime, what else can be done? Are there any other ideas out there that could actually work?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. There are some interesting ideas. One that keeps coming up is, what if we just got rid of the extra points for permanent residency?
You mean for having an LMIA?
Yeah, exactly. The thinking is if there's no incentive for the fraud, then the demand goes down.
That makes sense. But what about the people who are doing things legally? Wouldn't that be unfair to them?
That's the tough part, right? You're trying to stop the bad stuff, but not hurt the people who are doing everything right. It's tricky. It's a real balancing act.
So maybe we need to shift the focus. Instead of the points, maybe we need to think about ways to empower workers, make it easier for them to speak up, to report abuse without being scared.
Yeah. Like those confidential reporting systems we talked about. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Give them a safe way to say, hey, this is happening to me.
And stronger protections for whistleblowers too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to make sure people who speak up are protected from retaliation, really protected.
And what about harsher penalties for the people who are selling LMIAs?
Oh, yeah. Hit them where it hurts.
Yeah.
Fines, jail time, maybe even ban them from ever being involved with immigration again.
Yeah.
That would send a message. A strong one.
I like the sound of that. And what about giving temporary workers more freedom, being able to change jobs more easily?
Right now, they're tied to one employer.
Which makes them so vulnerable.
Exactly. If they can move around more, have more choices, it would give them more power, make it harder to take advantage of them.
So there are a lot of ideas out there. But, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the government, right? Are they actually willing to do something about this?
That's the question, isn't it? Do they have the will to actually make a change, to make things better?
It's a big question. And that's where you, our listeners, come in. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive into some real stories from people who've been affected by this black market. It's heavy stuff, but it's important, and we need to keep talking about it.